Are we becoming the modern day Zimbabwe, the modern day Venezuela? Is it our turn here in the United States and other Western countries like the UK, Canada, and Australia? The answer is, unfortunately, we're moving in that direction. Dollar Tree, I've just seen a whole bunch of ads from them. They are super excited about Christmas this year, and I think, as I keep seeing those ads, I think they're super excited because they realize they're the only place that Americans are going to actually be able to afford shopping for Christmas at. So they're super excited. You know, all their Chinese dealers over there that are producing cheap plastic trinkets are super excited about Christmas this year because you won't be able to afford to go to Walmart to buy cool toys for your kids. You may just be able to afford Dollar Tree, especially as food prices continue to spiral upward. We're going to be talking about how inflation is really playing out for Americans. I'm talking about regular, ordinary Americans who work jobs, who aren't independently wealthy, or who haven't been handed down money from above, or who don't scam the system by being married to somebody who is involved in politics, who gives them the inside scoop for stock trading. All right, folks, before we jump into that, let me just point out that this video is sponsored by Genesis Gold Group, asking the question, is your money stuck in the market because it's in a 401k or an IRA? The solution to that is talking to Genesis Gold Group about moving your IRA 401k over to physical vaulted silver, gold, platinum, whatever you like. Look down in the description down below to find their contact information. Talk to Jonathan. He can talk to you about what can be done with that. All right, let's talk about this inflation situation. Inflation is talked about by economists as like this thing, right? It's these numbers, and it's talked about as if the pain isn't really real. You and I know what that pain is like. You're used to buying the same kind of groceries as you probably usually are, and recently you've walked through the grocery store, you've looked at that product, and you said, that's just too expensive, right? Now, you may be able to afford it still, but what has become a fairly good deal or whatever has become not a good deal, right? Your paycheck hasn't gone up dramatically, and yet you see the price on that has gone up dramatically. Certain products that I used to buy relatively regularly, I just can't stomach buying them anymore. The pain is real. I haven't had real bacon for a bit because I just look at the price, I'm just like, that's just too expensive. It's just more than I'm used to paying for it. And we all experience inflation in a very real way. And it's that feeling when you're walking down the grocery aisle and it's like someone just punched you in the gut. And if you're anything like me, you kind of have to adjust to the new normal of those prices before you can really go back to buying it. Like the first time you see it, you're just like, that's just too expensive. But then you shop around and you look around and you're like, it's that expensive everywhere else too. And what we're seeing here coming out of the government, like the White House just published a tweet that said, the biggest Social Security increase in 10 years. Of course, it did get fact-checked now, which is high. I thought they didn't fact-check this political party. What's going on with that? I don't understand. But there was a fact-check, and even more surprising, the fact-check actually included facts. That the reason why the Social Security increase was the largest in 10 years is because the inflation rate is the largest in 20 years. And that's the situation out there. Okay, so your Social Security is going up. Maybe your wages are going up. You're advancing in your company. You're taking on additional responsibilities, and you're getting a little higher of a salary. But the problem is that the food costs and the cost of everything is going up faster than your wages, than your income is. Am I right? Friends, we're hearing out there that the central banks are quietly buying up gold faster than they have in the past 55 years. Last quarter, they purchased more gold than they have in any quarter in the last 55 years. We're talking since World War II. We're not talking like a short period of time. We're talking a long period of time. Why are they buying up so much gold? What do they know that we don't know? this is what they do know. And this is what anyone who can add up numbers and actually take an objective view of our economy can see. $2.5 quintillion of derivatives. Now, trillion, quintillion, okay? $1 trillion is like an absurd amount of money. There is $80 trillion worth of production in the world, okay? Every year we're making about $80 trillion worth of value. That's not really accurate because 24 trillion of that GDP is actually government spending. So they take it from the people producing stuff and then they just set it on, put it in a big pile and set it on fire. That's basically what government does. So we're talking about $56 trillion of actual production in the world. And then we see these bankers and these stock market traders, they're trading 2.5 quintillion, that's $2,500 trillion worth of derivatives. We're talking about everything from stocks, we're talking about debt. That includes about $300 trillion worth of debt. But a lot of these derivatives, you got to realize, are really just fake alternatives to debt. They're really debt. Banks and governments and everything like that, they owe more debt. They're just hiding it by using derivatives. So stock market options, futures markets, it's all this paper contracts moving back and forth of money being exchanged for nothing really tangible. Like they're not walking into a store and being handed a brick of gold. They're trading futures on gold that they never actually take delivery on. $2.5 quintillion, all resting upon a little base of $80 trillion worth of production, arguably $56 trillion of production, because government is just, a joke. They don't actually produce anything. So we're hearing out there that central banks purchased 399 tons of gold, which is a lot of gold, from July through September of this year. 399 tons of gold. What's really interesting is 300 tons of gold were purchased by nobody knows. Nobody knows who purchased this $300 trillion. I'm throwing out numbers there. 300 tons of gold, okay? You don't want to know how much a ton of gold is because it's a lot of money. I'm sorry, I didn't actually punch that in. You can go Google it yourself. But it's a lot. When you're talking about $1,800 per ounce, I believe right now, a ballpark, it's a lot of money. So 300 tons being purchased by private parties that nobody knows who they are. Now, I'm not talking about corporations. I'm not talking about institutions that have to report. About 200 tons went to those groups, institutions, corporations. We're talking about rich individual parties that are not central banks. 300 tons of gold. Poof. Somebody knows something and they're buying up a whole ton of gold. Or rather, 300 tons of gold. And the central banks are purchasing record amounts of gold too. And where are they purchasing these from? Mostly from private banks. Mostly from private banks. But a lot of this is moving from country to country as well. Who's buying it up? China, Russia, the BRICS countries like Brazil, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, the Stans are buying gold. India is buying gold and silver. Russia, China buying gold and silver. We're seeing these countries that are in the BRICS movement are buying up physical assets and they're dumping U.S. treasuries. They're dumping their savings bonds, their United States savings bonds, because they realize that the dollar is about to go to zero. And friends, if you think that the prices at the store in US dollars are high now, wait until the US dollar starts spiraling downwards in value. Ask our friends over in the UK, ask our friends over in the Euro how that looks. as prices spiral upwards, because in fact what's actually happening is your currency is spiraling downwards. It all is relative, unfortunately, and I promise you that your employer is not going to peg your salary to the purchasing power of that currency. They're going to be pegging your salary to a dollar amount or a fixed amount, and we're all starting to suffer more and more from the effects of inflation. Inflation isn't just a number. It isn't this philosophy. It is when you get to the store and you see the prices going up dramatically, and it's that punch in the gut for everyday ordinary Americans like you and I. We're hurting, and we're going to be hurting more as this thing starts to unwind. Protecting your finances, if you have resources, making sure that it is in food, preferably. Make sure you're fully stocked up on food. I've been saying this for well over a year now. If you've been listening to me for a year and you haven't stocked up on food, please do so. Buy the canned goods, buy the rice, package it properly, buy the pinto beans, package it properly. Make sure you have seasonings, make sure you have if you can buy canned chicken anymore. I was just at the store earlier this week and I showed it to you. There was just no canned chicken left. No canned chicken at Walmart. What do? Well, you can't get canned chicken. You're going to have to make your own. You can still get chicken, fresh chicken, but you're going to have to make your own canned chicken, which is probably better for you. But all that to say, there's a lot going on out there in the world, and you need to be paying attention to what's going on, because we're about to experience some really hard times here in the United States. Folks over in Europe, UK, as well as the European Union, because the UK is not there anymore. Good one, guys. Good one. We saw that. We respect you. And over in Australia, we're seeing the prices already being dramatically impacted by the failure of their currencies. But mark my words, the United States is following suit, and we're going to start seeing that euro start going up in value compared to the dollar, because the dollar is going to start collapsing. The Federal Reserve is going to pivot, and it's going to pivot soon. I expect to see the markets come crashing down because everything fake comes with a shelf life, right? Make sure you're getting real stuff, real food, real assets as best you can. All right, folks, if you found this video to be useful, helpful, you might want to check out this other video from me right here. Otherwise, I will see you later. Steve Poplar out.